podcast, or it's a podcast review of the fourth album from Danish quartet with one Swede, VOLA,
Yeah.
with Friend of a Friend, the song from the Smile Wall of Eyes album. Oh no, I'm confused, it's Friend of a Phantom. The fourth record. I am absolutely shattered still from the concert of Catatonia last night.
Oh yeah, that was a good concert actually. Very, very good.
It was
Very,
good,
very good.
but it was tiring. But I mean, especially since I wanted to see him last year, it's nice to actually be able to see him this year. And I think they had a lot of good stuff to put on, so hell yeah to that. I think we had a pretty good Catatonia, and that's not just a
Yeah,
random.
that was.
Oh, sorry.
So and yeah, it's just a great concert, a great set list as well.
Yeah, it
Very,
was.
very, very
Yeah,
fun.
you can't beat it. But that's not just a random mention, because that Catatonia may pop up within this review. So this is still a review, but it's a debate review podcast thingy majig, or whatever you want to call it. So we have 9 tracks on this record. I've mentioned 2 of them on my channel. At least I've had 2 of them as my track of the weeks. That was Break My Lying Tongue and Cannibal. So I guess because that's the track of the weeks I've had, and also the fact that they're the first 2 songs, I guess we can start off with Cannibal. So Anders Frieden from In Flames was, I think, probably the fucking most solid decision they've had for a for a guest feature. No offense to Shaman. Shaman's good, but Anders Frieden was literally the goat for this.
Yeah, I think he also fits a lot better than Shaman. Not that like Shaman doesn't fit his song, but I feel like Anders fits the sort of more vibe of Burma, I
Well,
guess.
Well, because with the Vola song, they had to incorporate this hip hop melody to give it more of like a. It kind of felt like a new metal track. These Black Claws, because they had Shaman in it, which is a cool idea. These Black Claws is a fun song and everything, but Cannibal kind of feels more realistically like we'd expect from Vola, but with just more aggression. As I remember Asger. Oh god, I literally just had a bloody bit of crumpet stuck in my throat. Asger from Asger literally said on, I think it was an interview, or I can't remember, but it's mentioned that for some of the screaming on Cannibal, he got Anders and thought it was a good addition because he would have liked to do some of it, but I think Anders definitely can pull it. I'm not, no offense to Asger, but even he admitted that Anders is a better growler, as Asger's not like as familiar with the technique. He can still do it. He's done it on every record to some extent, but I think Anders was like kind of the fill-in for who could really like nail it. So I think that was the decision why he was there,
Yeah,
which is
I
a good
see.
one. But Cannibal probably is the most solid of the 4 singles. I mean, there's a 5th single released the day before the album, Bleed Out. But I mean, out of like the 4 pre-album singles that feel more like it, I'd say Cannibal is probably easily the strongest one, and it's probably one of the more engaging, fun Vola songs, because I'm going to be honest, I will talk about my opinion on the singles when we get to each one, but Cannibal, yeah, that one's so much better. I love the chorus, I think the bridge is quite cool, I just think it's a whole lot of fun, to be honest. It's a good opening track, and as Asger also said on an interview, it's to start off with an explosive banger, which I think is a pretty good addition. I know I did see some people wanted Paper Wolf, or it makes sense to put Paper Wolf first, but I think Cannibal's a lot more explosive to have that wow impact to woo you in.
Yeah, I suppose so. But then I also feel like you could say that it's the only song on the album that really feels like that,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I guess it's like the presence as well of just having a feature kind of already gives a lot more of a push for like. I mean, I'm gonna say it makes sense to have Cannibal first. It's literally the biggest song on the album. It's been out for a few months and it's almost surpassed Paper Wolf, the biggest single, in streams and views in hardly any time. Paper Wolf has been out August 2023 and Cannibal only came out September this year, and it's already pretty much there to be in Paper Wolf. So it makes sense to have it as the first track. I mean, Anders Frieden, big name. It definitely helped quite a lot with this. Not a bad decision though.
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
I think they did pretty good with that. But it was surprising to see that Cannibal was not planned originally to have Anders in it, and there was a demo talked about where I did listen to a bit of it because there was a little snippet you could hear, but that's exclusive on Patreon. Uh, so
Whoa.
you're gonna have to donate to the Patreon to hear it. But as good, like
Oh no.
that one was more or less different lyrics, arrangement, everything was different, and it's very interesting. But Cannibal's really cool. I like that one. But yeah, that's got anything you want to say about the Cannibal song?
It's just a cool song. I think it's cool. I like Anders. It's a good vocalist.
Yeah.
I don't know. I ain't got a huge amount to say over this good track.
I was expecting Anders to do so. I don't know. For some reason, I thought there wouldn't be much like screaming when this was announced, and I actually thought that Anders was gonna do mostly cleans, and I was like, but why would you bring him on then? Because he's from like
Yeah,
one of the most iconic melodic death metal bands, as well as one of the very early ones to help pioneer it. So it made sense to use the kind of like the tools they got with it. But yeah, I think Cannibal's a pretty cool one. But as we go from track one, we go to track two, "Break My Lying Tongue," which I think has had the weakest reception from any VOLA song out there. It's had the most
yeah.
slander ever, even more than something like Green Screen Mother. But I know a lot of people like slow songs like that, so that gets like kind of a
No,
pass.
no one does.
Yeah, this is a Green Screen Mother hater, by the way. This was a yeah,
Yeah, I cannot get along with that song.
that song. Yeah, I feel like fans prefer that to Break My Lying Tongue, which I think Break My Lying Tongue is certainly one of the weakest songs on the album. It was a track of the week, so it definitely is still a good song by all means, but in context of the record, I think Break My Lying Tongue is overshadowed by numerous songs that do the formula better. And Break My Lying Tongue, the 5/4 signature is pretty cool. I'll give it that. That feels very unique for Vola, and it gives them a bit more like of a cool pattern to work with there. The lack of lyrics is sort of a bit jarring. Not too bad, but it definitely feels like there should be more there. It kind of felt a bit odd.
Yeah,
The chorus is a bit underwhelming as well, and then I think the big point everyone was looking forward to was the good old breakdown towards the
breakdown at
end,
the end.
which I
That
call
like doesn't go anywhere. It's a bit of a disappointment.
"Break My Crying Ball" should have been the track title, because the fact that I wanted the breakdown to last longer, but you'd get like a 10-second experience as it goes from the pretty cool keyboard solo by Martin to then go to this. It's nice, but I don't know why they had to abruptly end it like that. That is like a huge punch in the gut moment.
Betrayal.
It's like
We need to see that.
I feel like the whole reason is just like, oh yeah, well, you like breakdowns, you like screaming, so we'll give you like this very small snippet, wanting for you to want more. I guess it's subliminal marketing in a way. You like the heavy stuff, then you're more inclined to see more to see if you get more of it. Maybe "Break My Lying Tongue" is the most genius song ever.
Uh, well, maybe, but given that all the criticism of it, maybe not.
I think the biggest problem as well is most of the lyrics just repeats "Break My Lying Tongue." Like the fact the chorus mainly repeats a lot, and then the kind of outro does as well, and even the breakdown has him growling "Break My Lying Tongue." It's yeah, I can definitely see that being a bit
Samey.
jarring and samey and repetitive. Yeah, compared to Cannibal, I think Cannibal is a much stronger single, and "Break My Lying Tongue" probably might be one of the weakest on the record, but if I was to give Cannibal like an S tier, I'd probably say "Break My Lying Tongue's probably B for "Break My Lying Tongue." I'd say it's still pretty good in a lot of ways. It's just I feel like if it just had a good outro, I could surpass it. I would give it an A. But it definitely, the outro is the biggest weak point of it. But yeah, what do you think of "Break My Lying Tongue" as a whole? Because
Um,
it's quite an interesting
I would
song.
I would say that like it's still good and it's still enjoyable and stuff, but I feel like we've sort of failed to capitalize on the actual potential of it. I feel like
I think
it could have. I mean, yeah, just the breakdown bit and sort of like the lyrics probably could have done with a bit of a touch up too, perhaps. But it's still good and still enjoyable. So you know.
I think when I listened to it, one of my thoughts was that it doesn't quite sound like Witness to some degree because it's got a lot of stuff to push it away, which was giving me more hope for the album as well as also making me not worry, but like in particular be kind of like not concerned, just skeptical on what it's going to go for. Because I think Paper Wolf, I'll just say it now, sounds exactly like what I'd imagine a Witness B side sound like, and
Yeah.
and Breathe My Lying Tongue's different enough to kind of give me a different impression, which I think is a good feature to it. But as a whole,
Mm,
it's just not really that strong of a song. I feel like they couldn't find a way to end it or a way
honestly.
to structure it. Like you've got some pretty good moments, and they even know that these moments are sick, but they don't know how to like finish some things or like put like a finish to it, which is I guess why the song isn't quite for everyone. I think it's a good song, but it just needed a bit more
Yeah.
execution. Was that's my take on it. But yeah, that's the second single, which also released with the album announcement of Break My Lying Tongue. No, no, Friend of a Phantom. That's not the album. Uh, maybe that should have been the album title, but who knows? We go into the one. I think I was definitely skeptical about this one from the title track. Well, not title, but yeah, from the title. We Will Not Disband made me think. Oh, like, I don't know if that's actually about the band, but normally Asger writes songs about fictional characters and like putting these characters into a story, like writing like 9 different stories is what the songs are about. And I think We Will Not
Mm,
Disband. It sounds yes, it's kind of hard to say what it's about actually. I think he's talked about it before because I remember asking this as a question, but my brain just like literally filtered it. I can't remember what the song's about, but song as a whole, I probably might say is my least favorite on the album. I will have to say, unfortunately, because to me it just
you
sounds like
know,
a Witness B side more than I thought Paper Wolf did. We Will Not Disband sounds very similar to Inside Your Fur with a bit of Future Bird in there, and I thought Break My Lying Tongue sounded like Future Bird.
yeah.
I think I don't know what it is. It's just We Will Not Disband. Like the first impression I had from it was the chorus is decent. A lot of people saying it's a really good one, and I think it's just a decent one, not crazy good. And I think the synths are like a bit jarring. Just feel very familiar than what we've had before, as well as the yeah, I think lyrically it's all fine. The vocals are nice, but I don't know. I just say it doesn't really hook me in much. I think first impression. I've listened to the album 3 times before we did the podcast, and I just can't really get into
Yeah.
this one quite as much. I think it's just kind of will probably be one of just the weaker songs in general. I just don't really have much. I don't really get much going in and going out of it. It's a good song, but that's kind of where I stand with it.
Yeah. No. Yeah. No. Yeah. You are right about it. It does sound a bit like a Witness piece side.
It's just like
Um.
might be a Witness demo. I kind of feel because it's very similar to other stuff. But I mean, hey, it's got a instrumental breakdown. I guess that's cool. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the story what it's going for, from what I can tell lyrically, is pretty good, and I do like the atmosphere of it. But yeah, probably my least favorite on the album. I don't know what's your like full view on We Will Not Disband because that's a newer one and we haven't necessarily talked about the new songs yet.
Yeah. That's true. I don't know. Yeah. It's pretty nice, but I guess it just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't really do a whole lot different, I suppose. Which for VOLA is a little bit of a surprise, I guess, because they like first 3 albums they always be changing up.
Yeah, it's been like a changed formula, but I feel like it's either that they just wanted to keep the change or they were trying to find a style desperately. And I think Witness might have probably been the safest choice because Witness is, in my opinion, a solid album, but I don't know if it's the one I'd say you'd want to like do again. But if it works to some extent, then I don't see the problem with that. But like the first two songs I still go back to listen to quite a bit. I just think Will Not Disband is just one I don't really see myself going back into as much. Probably say like a B C
Mm.
tier song. It's good enough to be on the album, and I do like still listen to obviously, but it's not. It's like far from like anything and like any of the best stuff they've done in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, I can agree with that.
It's just kind of a song, but I mean at least we know they won't disband, so that's the biggest thing
That's
you can take
good.
from the thing. So that's all I can think of for that. Glass Mannequin. I was expecting this one to be a little more, or a little heavier for some reason. I don't know why. I thought it'd be like a balance, but I'm gonna be honest. I'm curious to know what your opinion is first on it.
um, yeah, let me just pull that shit out of my brain real quick.
Remember, it's the slowest song on the album.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm just giving them a little listen as well right now, just so I can like properly remember these things.
Yeah, because
But yeah, no, it's very like it's sort of like chill vibe, very much something I'd like sort of pulling back to like the
applause.
applause era sort of
I kind of call it
like type thing.
Vertigo 2. I feel like it's a Vertigo 2.0, but I actually will say Glass Mannequin probably is one of my favourite songs on the album. Like, even. I'd probably say it beats all the singles, potentially. That's how much I think it's a really good chill song.
Yeah, no, it is actually very good.
I was not expecting it to be
Very
that good,
good.
because, like, most of the song, it doesn't. It does have a forward, like, approach of sticking to the same thing. You do get a little bit more instrumentation as you go through, but obviously it's very limited. It's very much the amount they use for applause if you'd had a song like Vertigo, but it feels like a nice calm song. I think it's a really good balance where Witness only really had Freak, and Freak's good, but I will say Glass Mannequin is a chill song done better, so I'd say they've got that part done. And another good thing about Glass Mannequin is it doesn't quite feel like, oh yeah, this is a Witness song. It does have enough edge to be something I could see in a future VOLA song. So I've always thought it's very unique compared to the other non-singles
Yeah.
because it feels so refreshing. But yeah, this kind of reminds me of the stuff like Ruby Pool, Vertigo, and I honestly think Glass Mannequin is an absolute banger of a track and probably my favourite song. Probably like the first four tracks is I prefer it to like Cannibal, Break My Lying Tongue, and We Will Not Disband, obviously. But yeah, Glass Mannequin, pretty good. I imagine it's probably the underrated. It probably remained the most underrated song on the album, but I don't care. It's a pretty fun one. Also, but yeah,
It is pretty good.
it's a good song, and just still not what I expected from the thing. But I guess that's what I like about it because I knew it was going to be a Karma song from just. I just assumed it was a Karma song. Then the review said it was, but then also review said stuff like it reminds them of Catatonia, which is why I meant, which is not the only reason I mentioned Catatonia, because it has strings in there. It gives you this more like gothic, not really gothic, but this more like moody atmosphere that Catatonia brings, and I can kind of hear it, but I don't quite say it feels like a Catatonia song to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't like. Maybe you could say there might have been some influence, but it's not exactly particularly obvious. I wouldn't have thought.
Like I've heard Catatonia just blare out of my ears for an hour and 45 minutes yesterday, and I can assure you it sounds nothing like any of that.
Yeah.
But Glass Mannequin, probably the song I don't think they'll play live because of the lack of instruments, and that pisses me off. Because
Yeah,
I
it
don't.
would be cool, but yeah, you're right. If there's like, there'd be like almost no one doing anything,
Yeah, basically, it's like with some of the
unless we're gonna have like Adam and fucking Nikolai just like dancing while
what hitting the griddy.
yeah, hitting the gritty while Asker and Martin are just doing the thing,
Say mine's
which
fucking.
would be funny. They should do that actually. You should.
Now I think
They
about it,
should
mine's
just.
actually carrying quite a lot on this record because I do like mine's like because I think when I checked Nikolai does the Simps. So the Simps
Yeah,
are
yeah.
Nikolai, So Martin does the keyboard, but the keyboard's a fucking Glass Mannequin is really good. And I think the coolest thing is I feel like every album one band member shines the most. Like I'd probably say Asger's like the standout on In Mazes. Nikolai's my favorite on Applause, just because the bass really carries into the slower, nicer songs. And then Adam's a bloody beast on Witness. But I think I think
Yeah,
each record, I think one band member stands out the most, and it's cool that all four of the lineup stands out on each record differently. I think that's a really cool
yeah,
feature.
that is actually. That's just, yeah.
Yeah,
So I say like I break my line tongue. Ooh, it does have like a good keyboard bit. And for the chorus Cannibal, I think also keyboard quite strong on that.
yeah, the keyboard is pretty good. Yeah, Cannibal's one
Yeah.
like the synths and everything. It does. It definitely just oozes the Witness sounds. Cannibal. It kind of feels like a strong Witness song, like one you'd see as a single. But yeah, it does not help the claims that this album might just be Witness 2.0. But we'll have to
Yeah,
see.
I seen that a few times actually, looking at some of the reception
Uh,
quickly before I hopped on.
well, we are heading towards the middle of the record with the longest track since In Mazes, the self-titled song.
Oh yeah, that's true, isn't it?
So we have good old Bleed Out, which was the latest single, and Bleed Out has given us some very interesting points in VOLA's sound. I know some people weren't quite big on it, honestly, Bleed Out, but
Yeah.
yeah, I can kind of see the Witness claims, but the other stuff I see about it is people have said that this sounds like a Korn song. And
Corn.
yeah, Korn. I don't get any Korn influence from it. Honestly, I don't get the Korn thing, but it is definitely got like, this very weird, creepy mood to it, which is quite sinister, and I do like it. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those songs I can't determine if it is literally one of the best or one of the average ones because there's stuff I like in it, but then there's stuff I think could be a lot better. Bleed Out. I think the opening is quite mysterious and nice. I like how Asger's delivery is very, just kind of not sinister, but very unnerving. It's like he's saying like he's in like some sort of like stasis, which is what I quite like about Bleed
Mm.
Out, and I think Bleed Out's opening is cool. The chorus is quite good. It's probably one of the best ones on the album, but I don't think the refrains quite hit as good as Witness in my opinion. With tracks like Headlight Sideways or Straight Lines or even 20 Before Like Years, just kind of felt stronger with the refrains. But Bleed Out definitely, I'd probably say Bleed Out is definitely one of the heaviest songs they've ever put out for sure. Even to Witness here, and I do like it. But I think the only thing I find a little underwhelming is probably the breakdown actually because I like the chorus, but the breakdown is just like I'm covered in blood repeated, and then he just starts like growling it in like a breakdown
Uh.
fashion. The instrumentals are fine, but they don't really add as much to it. I feel like the breakdown on something like Stone Leader Falling Down had a lot more impact because it's just so rough and menacing. But this one just kind of feels like a standard breakdown from VOLA, and it's nice that they're doing a bit more of these, but can't quite say I'm as big on it as wanted to be, but Bleed Out probably is still maybe a top three track. Is still fun, and I like that they're pushing for heavier stuff, even though this kind of does resemble Witness again.
Yeah, that's true. It has like I don't know, almost a similar sort of vibe to like these Black Claws. Like at least in like the beginning
Yeah,
of
I
the thing.
saw a lot of people saying that, and it definitely has like that ominousity that album has, no, that song has, which is quite cool.
Yeah. Which I mean, I don't know. I like these Black Claws. That's probably one of my favorite songs from Witness, honestly. But
The singles on
yeah,
Witness were like in my opinion, the highlight tracks, and the
yeah,
non-album singles, you still had some really good stuff, but they weren't quite as good. But they were still felt original to the sound they were producing. But I kind of feel like we're getting a case of the non-album singles are actually the best stuff, which is quite surprising. Because I'd say Bleed Out maybe beats all the four songs. Debatable on Cannibal, but yeah, I say Bleed Out. To be fair, is a single, so it is technically one of them, but. don't know. Bleed Out's cool. I like. People said it has like a Nine Inch Nails sort of industrial sound as well to the opening, and I guess I can kind of see with the ominousity of it, but I don't really think it sounds much like that either.
I don't really know enough about NIN to say that. I'll
I
say.
just don't think of the Downward Spiral or anything when I listen to this because it doesn't sound like anything from Nine Inch Nails. But yeah, Bleed Out's pretty good, and I think Glass Mannequin onwards is where the album starts picking up because Glass Mannequin's solid. Bleed Out is pretty good. I don't know if I don't know if it's A or S tier. I can't decide. I think it's one of those songs I need to listen to a bit more. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
it makes sense this one was made into a single. It kind of has what people wanted from the band: breakdowns, heavy, big chorus, awesome riffs, and yeah, that's pretty much what I had to say on that one. But we're gonna dive into the most familiar song, Paper Wolf.
People, yeah, been out for a while now. Actually, now that I think about it, like over a year, right?
August 2023 it came out. So literally
Yeah.
last year August. It is over a year old before the album came out.
Yeah, it's a bit.
It's actually literally a year and almost 3 months. Um,
Pulled a muse on them.
yeah, it's so insane that they took quite a while for this one, but I think Paper Wolf definitely felt like a B-side for Witness because of how quick it came out. Like, Paper Wolf kind of came out and then the band started working on stuff and then already Paper Wolf was like being teased and everything just shortly afterwards. It felt like there was like, it was made in the quickest amount of time for all the songs, but apparently it is one of the hardest ones for the band to play live, especially Asger, because he said playing the riffs on this one whilst singing is really hard for him.
mm,
Like,
yeah, to be fair, it does seem like a pretty complex-ish song.
like Paper Wolves' riffs are all pretty good. I think, like without a doubt, they're very solid and hold up nicely as a just overall really good instrumental song. I think the only thing I've seen that people aren't big on it is the chorus being not quite as good as other stuff. But I think it's probably one of the best choruses on the album without a doubt. I think I wouldn't say I'd say it's a bit of a safer song, but it definitely is like one of the better representations of this. Although this to me does just feel like a Witness song, so we're kind of going back into the Witness B-side territory with these tracks because this easily feels like something that it would belong on Witness if it had 10 tracks.
Yeah, no, I agree. I could definitely see it being on there.
But yeah, I do like it. I've listened to this one so many times. I think I've played this 160 times or something since it came out
No,
because
just a
normally
people from over here.
my DJ X on Spotify just keeps shoveling Paper Wolf every
Uh,
day. So I heard it. I think I've overplayed a little bit, but I think live from what I've seen the song was cool live, but certainly not one of like the songs I'm like, oh my god, I hope they play Paper Wolf live. It's just one of those, yeah, they're probably playing it. It's like one of the biggest songs on the album. Makes sense. So, but Paper Wolf is good. I did like it when it came out. I thought it was pretty good, and I think it's pretty good now. I'd say I used to think Break My Lying Tongue was better than that, but looking back, I think this song just feels more complete. And at least, oh my god, there's a bloody. My brother's got on his motorbike, so I'm gonna have to shut my window because I can hear that way too loud. There you go. That's fun, always fun. And he stopped revving it as soon as I shut the window. Right. So Paper Wolf, yeah, pretty good stuff. Honestly, one of the definitely one of the better singles, but it feels a little safe and kind of plays too much into Witness, which is my complaint of it. But yeah, definitely like an A tier song at least. Have you got any thoughts on Paper Wolf since it's been out for a while? Hang on, have I lost you there? I think I've unplugged my headphones. Hang on. Right,
Technical issues,
there you go.
eh?
Unplugged my headphones. So what did you say? Because I think it picked up on the recording, but I just didn't hear it.
Uh, yeah, no, I just said it was pretty nice, a pretty fun song.
Pretty, pretty.
But no, not best, not best.
No, it's a shame. But I think because they've always had a very strong lead single, capable of being like kind of the middle grounded place that just kind of like more in the middle when it comes to the how to rank the album. It doesn't help because Headnight Sideways was the lead single of Witness. That's my favorite VOLA song still. Then you have then you had Smart Friend for Applause, a Distant Crowd. Again, another really good VOLA
Great
song.
song, yeah.
One of my top. And I'm not sure what was the lead single of In Mazes. I think it was Starburn or Stray the Skies. Again, doesn't matter which one. Still really good songs.
Yeah, for sure.
Some people say it was Emily, but I'm not too sure which one it was. But I'll just say if it was, yeah, I'll just say that people definitely kind of falls a little when it comes to a lead single. But if they had this one written first, it kind of made sense why this one came out. But yeah, that's People Wolf. We've done 2/3 of the album, and now we've got 3 more tracks. We're going into the 3rd single, which didn't have a music video. I feel like this was just randomly. I honestly feel like the fact that Bleed Out had a music video and this didn't made me think that Bleed Out was probably supposed to be released before.
Yeah.
And then maybe this.
They just couldn't think of anything for a music video for this.
Because the
I
vision.
wanted to.
Oh, sorry.
If I wanted to just release it as a single anyway.
It's because
But just didn't have any ideas for a video.
Because the visualize is exactly the same as the other 4 visualizers for the for the non-singles. So I've always found it weird that they had that. But I mean, problem is I don't think it was a good choice for a single because it just kind of feels like a song that would be on an album that doesn't have too much like speciality. People like this one and I do like it, but it's probably the most underwhelming VOLA song, especially when it. I mean, I'll say in this way, like, I do like the song, I'm happy if the song wants to be slow, but the biggest issue is when they start building it up just to kind of end the song there, is always not something that's that good in my opinion, because I don't know how we got here. It's very dark, I like how depressing the lyrics are, talking about a kid being killed with a blade in an arcade, and then you've got a girl being lost at a mall, and what we call a shopping centre in the UK, and then also her coat's hung up on the wall. Like, all this stuff's like dark, and I like the storytelling behind it. But when you have this chorus, which I think the chorus is definitely one of the more unique original ones, so I'll give him that. It doesn't work quite as well when you build up the second time with guitars, drums and everything, and then just do the chorus right afterwards, and then just end it there. It just feels like it's a very weird way to end it. Similar to Break My Lying Tongue, it just is kind of an underwhelming way to end the track.
Yeah, I suppose I feel like I have quite a different opinion of the song to you. I'd probably say it's one of my favourite ones off the album, to be honest.
I like the vibe.
I remember not really thinking too much of it when I first heard it, but going back into it, I do actually quite like it. I feel like the atmosphere they were able to create with the instrumentals just really sort of gelled with me, especially like the beginning bit. I really think the beginning is like really great.
What I do like about it kind of reminds me of Alien Shivers meets Ruby Pool sort of thing. You got the dark Alien Shivers, quite a dark song, and then you got so lyrically it's that, and then you got Ruby Pool with the calmer. So I don't think the song's bad, but I'd probably say it would be a bottom 3 just because of how much I enjoyed the rest of the record more. But I don't know how we got here. I just think it's literally, to me, it would be better if it just had more. Like, say if the instrumentals went longer at the end, that's all I wanted. It's just the way it kind of abruptly ends, it just pulled me out of the song a bit.
Yeah, I get it. But I don't know, I still really enjoyed it. I think probably a pretty top tier track, I got to say.
But
shout out to.
If that's your top tier track, we're going into potentially my top tier track, Hollow Kid. Bloody Hollow Kid. I did not expect this one to go hard. All I knew about this song, it was going to be like a classic VOLA experience in some case, of just being a good old heavy riff song with the VOLA sound to it, and I think that's still the song actually surpassed my expectations of what I thought it would be, and Hollow Kid is honestly definitely one of my favourite songs on the album. Definitely the top one of the top tiers because of how insane it is. The opening riff got me headbanging, which is very rare for a VOLA song to do on the first listen. So let's just say that that's already a good sign. But Hollow Kid's riff is insane. Um, chorus is fine. I'm not like, the biggest fan of it, but the overall, the first like half of the album, first half of the track, when it's like this very janky, heavy song is awesome, and I just love how the second verse, Asger just whips out some surprise growls out of nowhere, which is quite nice. I think the delivery of the verses, it's just like a mean song, and that's what I like about it. It's something that it's like Stone Leader Falling Down. That song's just mean and dirty, and I think Hollow Kid just kind of pays homage to that, and I think that's really cool, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. No, it definitely does have the that more like I don't know, sporadic vibe, I guess, of like some of Vola's older stuff.
Yeah, because it does feel like it does feel like something I could see Vola doing if they were to ditch the Witness sound a bit more. Because to me, this
Yeah,
does.
not like more like it pays homage to that sound rather than
Yeah,
like
like it's like.
being like a copy of anything.
Yeah, because
It's all like
that's what I thought
similar-ish.
That's what I thought Cannibal did. Sort of pays homage with like in mazes when it comes to being a lot gritty and heavier. But I think Hollow Kid just pays homage to, just good old heavy era Vola. But I think Hollow Kid is a nice surprise. I think overall the song's fun. It's just one of the fun songs on the album that I just think really it's really nice. It's like literally feels like what Stone Age Fallen Down offered to Witness. Just a fun, punchy song with a lot of cool moments in it. And I think Hollow Kid, I can imagine this one's probably going to be played live a bit. It just
Oh yeah, you'd hope so.
you'd think this would be one of the ones played live. If they had to play some of the deeper cuts on the record that aren't the singles, I can imagine this would be one of them. But yeah, honestly, Hollow Kid surprised me a lot, and I think already because the Glass Mannequin to Bleed Out as the last two non-album singles, like the new songs, Hollow Kid definitely kept the ball rolling from that point on, and I definitely think it's really good. It's a fun song, heavy, good banger, and yeah, probably say an S tier track. I can't decide if this is my favourite or Glass Mannequin or Bleed Out, because I probably might say that may be my top three, but I think part of it is recency bias, because I definitely want some of them to remain in my top three, but I don't know how long they will.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Hollow Kid. What's your views on the Hollow Kid?
Actually, yeah, no, it's actually a very good track, to be fair. Um, yeah, and like I said, got some of that nice, like, more weird and like wacky sort of sound to it. But it is very good, nice and heavy as well. Can't go wrong with a track like that, I don't think.
Because all the reviews were hyping Bleed Out to be the heaviest song, but the fact they didn't mention Hollow Cold, that's what really shocked me, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
We're moving on to the final track, Trey, which I think probably has the best lyrics written on the record. It definitely has like the most. I wouldn't say it's my favourite song by any means, but it definitely is like one of the best well crafted Vola songs I think in a long time, and definitely another good choice for an album closer with In Mazes, Inside Your Fur, and especially Green Screen Mother.
Mm.
Honestly, Trey I like. I think it's quite a nice surprise. I think the calmer first half and then it gets the energy rolling a bit is quite nice. But Trey definitely has a very like dark narrative behind it as well. But what I really like about it is it's just the subtle change in sound. Even like after the second chorus and you're in like the outro part, Asger does the Paper Wolf route where he puts some growls behind his voice towards the end, which is quite faint, but I like the addition to Trey because it's already a darker song, and I think it's a nice way to end the album off in a tone, which is weird because the band says that Witness is the heaviest album, but there's been quite a lot of like more growling and screaming than usual, which is interesting on Vola's behalf. But Trey probably feels the most like the most probably Trey and Glass Mannequin are like the two songs that feel very quite different from the Witness formula. At least to me, Trey kind of feels like it has enough to offer for a brand new adventure rather than a bunch of other songs that could have draws essences to Witness.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
that's my opinion on that. What's your view on Trey? Because that's the big finale of the record.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it is actually a very fitting final song. To be fair, I think it works quite well as a final track. Um, but yeah, it's pretty good, pretty cool.
Luke's quite dark on this one, but it's very different because the final because it's I'm just so used to, like how Witness ends the album with Inside Your Fur, which is like a more like bittersweet, like happy sort of sounding track with a bit more of like this fun aesthetic. It's kind of like it's definitely like got a weird energy to it, but then Trey's just very like more melancholy, which is kind of like, in my opinion, it does what I think Green Screen Mother should have done. It just feels like that, but with a lot more to it, and I think Trey's just definitely a pretty good solid way to end the record off. And I don't know if I'd say it's my favourite because I don't know if it'd be Inside Your Fur for me as my favourite outro track, but it definitely is. It definitely is not far off from that, and I think maybe in time it could be my favourite. We'll have to see, but I didn't know what to expect with the name Trey. I think Trey is the weirdest like song title Vola's ever had.
Yeah, it's kind of like um, yeah, it's kind of funny. I'll say, yeah.
Now that we've
For them at least, it just seems a bit like weird in terms of the rest of their song titles.
because I guess you need the context of like why is it called Trey?
The actual song, yeah.
Because it could be about like a lunch school. It could be like lunch ladies or something like that from school or something. You never know. But that's all the 9 tracks, which I think honestly, despite I think I might approach this through the cons first, go through like the negatives and then build up to the positives because I think there's definitely more positive than negative, so I'll probably get the cons out of the way first of this record.
Yeah, go ahead, little guy.
My biggest problem I think is the general consensus of this that it's Witness 2. It literally feels like a sequel to Witness, despite how many times Azka said they're trying to do something completely different. I'm sorry, it sounds very much like Witness B-sides, a lot of them, which isn't bad because Witness is a solid album, but I think the biggest issue is it just depends on what's going to happen in the long run for Vola. Are they going to stick to the sound? Because it does have a quite similar sound to Witness, and I don't know if they're going to stick to it. Because the thing I like about Vola is they managed to capture the style within Mazes to then use the catchy hooks, use the spontaneous songwriting and guitars to create a different atmosphere and have all sort of different moods, which is what I like about the band. But if they're going to do Witness again, it'll definitely lose its charm, and I think the album doesn't do it because it doesn't overstay its welcome with the sound, but I feel like that will be a sign for things to come, sort of thing. So it's not a bad thing. It necessarily is a Witness B-side thing, but in the long run, it will probably be kind of detrimental to some of the weaker points of Vola.
Yeah, if like they continue down the sort of samey path, it might be.
But it
You
could,
know, we can look back on it in a different way, perhaps.
yeah, I feel
But
like
to be fair, they could always still just pull out like an almost completely different sounding thing next time. You never know.
yeah, that's what I'm hoping for because the band always says they want to experiment quite a lot. I just think because they did the same procedures as or like precautions as making Witness. They had I can't remember the guy's name, but I think it's Jacob. He's the mixer for Witness and this album, and I guess working with the same people like that could have um, a similarity when it comes to translating it. And I think I think probably the biggest weak point is that if they were to be Witness B-sides, Witness is very catchy. I don't find this album nearly as catchy as Witness, which is like already probably one of the biggest downsides of it. There's just, I think the literally top three hooks from Witness and Friend of a Phantom, if I had to say any of them, it'd definitely be on Witness. Because I think Witness just pulls you in a lot more, and I think the songs had a lot more versatility. Like every song was so unique, and I'd say that the songs on this are unique in their own right in terms of being on the album, but as a whole, in general, to previous Witness, to the actual Witness album, yeah, no, I'd say it just draws too much parallels and does a weaker job at it. So I guess that's my main issues with the record, but it's still versatile. There's so many different ideas, and I think Vola's definitely. You can definitely tell there's a lot of effort put into this record, even if
Yeah,
some
sure.
fans don't see it. Because I know the prog metal subreddit. I think they always say that Vola can do good music. It's just they always, it's just always since after Invasion Applause, it just hasn't been like the best talk for Vola because of the formula. People weren't as big on Witness from what I've seen as the first two albums, and then now people aren't as big on this as Witness. So, if that's the case, then that's probably the potential factor of if more people are liking Witness now because I think it grew on them. So, it could be a grower album as well that might do that. Because I will say certainly it is still a pretty fun album, and it definitely, if this is the worst album in a discography, I think Vola's discography is sealed to being probably one of the best in general because of how there's a lot of strength to it. But yeah, I'd say you have a really good trilogy, and then you have a fourth album that doesn't quite like hold a candle to the first three albums, and that's Friend of a Phantom. But
Mm.
I'm trying to think what else I wasn't as big. I think We Will Not Disband I do like, but it definitely is like a huge weaker track. Whereas I don't really have a weak song on Witness that feels weaker than anything. Because Freak probably, but I like Freak a lot. That I'd say some days I prefer it to Future Bird or Napalm. So at least with that one, you don't the weakest stuff is always changeable. So you always get like a lot of enjoyment. But We Will Not Disband just kind of feels like the biggest weakest record track on the record in my opinion. I just thought
Mm.
this was underwhelming. I think, honestly, I think Cannibal grew off me a little bit as much because I really liked it, but I still think Cannibal's cool. Where My Lying Tongue definitely grew off me quite a bit, but I still like it. Paper Wolf is always had the same opinion, and I don't know how we got here. I think I like it more than I did originally. So that one's probably the only one that's interchanged time good, but we'll have to see how the five songs hold up in the long run. I think live they probably translate better, but I mean, to be honest, other than We Will Not Disband, the four new songs are still pretty good. I mean, Hollow Kid
Yeah.
is insanely cool. Bleed Out's still quite good, even if it's got some weak, even if it's just kind of a weaker, heavy track of theirs that I feel they could do better on. Glass Mannequin is really good for a solid soft song, and Trey's a nice way to end the thing off. So even if these songs do feel weaker than what they put out previously, it's still a bunch of good tracks on here and some pretty good S tier stuff too. So it doesn't feel far off the quality of a standard Vola record. It just kind of misses the mark a bit because of that. But honestly, I don't think there's much else to say that's weak. I think there's just a lot of good stuff. It's just I think it's just the fact that it might be underwhelming to some extent, but where it's underwhelming,
Yeah.
it makes up in other areas. So it's probably the weirdest album I've talked about in a long time because I really don't know how to feel with how different everything is in terms of the new ideas, but also how similar it is. It's a very similar but different album, which is why I'll never understand it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like I suppose just talking about the album in terms of the discography, like the whole discography, then I think it stands up on its own 2 feet very well, but like it yeah, I think it like fails to sort of really do something entirely new, like what they had managed to do with the previous show.
I think another issue is like in mazes, if someone was to say like my top 10 or like best tracks in from the first three record, like I could pick stuff from the first three record, like in mazes, some of the tracks on there would easily be some of my favorite VOLA songs, like Stray the Skies is probably one of my top ones. I really like stuff
Mm.
like Your Mind's a Helpless Dreamer. I
Yeah,
even
that's
like
such a good
A
song.
Stare Without Eyes, and even debatably stuff like Starburn and The Same Wall is also really good. So stuff like that
Mm.
is very interchangeable. Like those are solid tracks that I'd say easily are some of the best they put out in the discography, which is why In Mazes is probably still my favourite record, without a doubt. And then Applause, like the singles in my opinion are just like so good. Like Ghost is arguably one of my favorite songs in a long time. Alien Shivers is so good. Smart Friend is really good, and then tracks like Ruby Pool as well and Applause Distant Crowd. Like, see how like half the record in my opinion is just so good, and I could easily say it's potentially top five stuff or top 10. It just depends on how I'd overall
Yeah.
rank it. Witness even has that to me to an extent, with Head Managed Sideways being my favorite song. Straight Lines is really good. 24 Light Years is a really good song, and so is these Black Claws, and I'd even say Stone Age Fallen Down. It's like every album at least has five songs that I can say is definitely S tier, but I can't say the same with this one. I feel like you got some really good stuff, but it's not as frequent, and I don't think the really good stuff is like top 10 Vola. They're like good Vola songs, but
Yeah.
not top 10 Vola. It kind of like I'm trying to think of a good way to say this in some case that makes sense. I want to mention, I guess I'll mention it in a similar way to, I guess, Chevelle, as I'll use Chevelle as a comparison for the,
Mm.
take Wonder What's Next, This Type of Thinking, and Venus Era. All those three albums, in my opinion, are just consistently fun, really good records, and pretty much like everything on it. Then Sci-Fi Crimes is the next record afterwards, and it misses out the trilogy. For being, I don't know, I mean, the difference is that that one's different, but it kind of loses the charm that the those tracks did. But at the same time, I really enjoy it for what it is. I think that is easily Friend of a Phantom. It's an album you can enjoy for what it is, and it certainly is still one of the best prog metal albums this year. There's been some good stuff. I even say it's better than Caligula Horse's one, which I did quite enjoy, and I say that's the best that Caligula Horse is. But Vola's always, in my opinion, been one of the top consistent bands I've listened to, and Friend of a Phantom just misses the mark a little bit. But yeah, that's all I have to say negative wise. I think positive, it's still really good, and the new songs, there's so much good stuff in the new songs that it's a rare case of Vola's singles just not really being some of the best stuff on there. I kind
Mm.
of think I kind of think the fact that if these were Witness B sides and in general, if this was actually the case, which I don't think it is, it's actually still really good. If this, I would still accept an album like this. It kind of reminds me of like the myth of Happily Ever After being a literally just B sides from the Celebration of Endings, but just swap it around. Like literally, still really two really good
Yeah.
albums, but obviously you get that. There's so much enjoyment on this record. I think it's definitely got some interesting stuff. Even if the hooks aren't quite catchy, there's a lot of different vocal ideas, a lot of different patterns. There's even like new things the bands haven't tried, like strings on tracks. There's loads of interesting things that the bands know about. It's overall, I think there's a lot of creativity. I just think the album. I think it's a case of the album accidentally sounding too much to like Witness, because I feel like the band probably didn't see it that way, but that's how the fans view it. Because after listening to
Yeah.
Witness, it just kind of feels like that's the case. But I definitely feel I have a good feeling that the band did not even think they sounded close to Witness, because they had a lot of different elements put into it, and the whole structure of it is insane. But from where I stand, it's definitely still one of the top albums this year. Even with its flaws, it is still pretty good. I don't know if I'd say album of the year though. I have no clue, because
Hmm.
Knocked Loose quality was just non-stop throughout. So I'd probably say Knocked Loose is probably, at this rate, probably secured the album of the year for me. And it's basically this versus Chat Pile, but I feel like this album probably at least be will maybe a top three. I can see this being a second best album or third. It just isn't my favourite VOLA album, which I think is the general consensus. I have not seen a single comment say this is the best work yet, no matter where. And like,
Yeah, I'm not surprised to be fair. Yeah, I still think it does stand on its own 2 feet, like very well. Still a lot of enjoyable stuff, and yeah, while it does sound the same, I think there was at least some attempt to like add a bunch of new stuff and all that. I just think maybe, like you said earlier, with like the same production people and probably a similar way of making the album is probably what led it to being so similar,
yeah,
rather than like a lack of trying to make it different, maybe. But yeah, I mean, who knows? We aren't there, so no,
we wish.
we'll never know.
But I think that's all I have to say. It's generally still a really good album. The thing is, I'd probably say it may be a 4 or a 4.5 out of 5. I'd say it's like, it's close to being a very consistent, perfect album, but I think just that stuff drags it down. But I still agree that a lot of people with the reviews and everything, and I disagree with those who say it's not worth the time and think it's VOLA at their weakest. I've seen Hollow Kid get hate, which I don't understand because I swear that's the type of stuff that the prog metal fans like. I've seen Bleed Out get hate, and again, it definitely is probably one of the more progressive songs, but I think VOLA's at this point where they're just not really like caring what genre if they want to be prog metal, because they're gonna get labelled as it for starting off within mazes, and I think they're stuck with it since. But it kind of feels like to me they just don't want to be labelled it. They just want to be this like alternative shifting band constantly, and it's like fair play to that. But
Yeah.
Friend of a Phantom definitely still really good. I just think it isn't quite as good as the trilogy, and I am curious to see where album number 5 goes. I reckon it'll be
Yeah, for sure.
Witness 3.
Yeah, maybe not.
Or it could be.
Maybe not that.
Hopefully in
But
Mazes 2. I would probably prefer Mazes 2 to Witness 2, but we'll have to see.
I think it'd be cool if it just,
Something new.
did some crazy new shit.
That's what I like to see, is always new shit. When bands do whole new shit, that's why I like Starset did it. Starset's upcoming new record is nothing like what they've done, and that's the type of
That's
new
true.
stuff that's good. But yeah, this is the podcast sort of review for it.
Little ramble shit session we had.
1 hour ramble
Viewers.
show. How long is actually an hour? Almost an hour, and we're going to be doing these. We'll be doing these every so often. It's not 150th proper review, because I have like the little number on my thumbnails, and it's the 150th. It's not because it's that. It's just that's a coincidence. But yeah, if there's we normally do this for like albums, like, or basically very promising stuff to see how we overall feel about it. So probably might do one for Star Cell or something like that. It's just stuff like that. But we definitely know we're going to be doing one for Skillet, the new album that came out today.
I'm not sorry. I just do not want to listen to a Skillet or that Skillet album in full. I probably will never do that.
Because Revolution is out and it came out today, and we are looking forward to talking about it. So thank you so
No,
much
I'm
for
not
watching,
doing that.
anyone who did, and see you next video.